This is a recording for AAT Advanced Diploma Synoptic Sample Assessment 2, Task 2.3a. First thing I'm going to do is go to View, New Window, Arrange All, and Vertical. That way I've got my exercises on the left and I can do my tasks on the right. Make sure that whenever you're starting any assessment, you read the scenario, fully understand what role you are and what you're doing, as well as the task. This way you're ensuring that you can carry out each task successfully. Task 2.3. You are Chris Makepeace, a part qualified accounting technician. You work for New Place, a business which retails office equipment. New Place is owned and run by Mo Hussein. You cover all aspects of the bookkeeping and accounting for the business. New Place also uses services of Addo & Co., a firm of accountants. Kieran Jackson is the accountant at Addo & Co. who carries out the task for New Place. Today's date is the 15th of January 09. You must save this spreadsheet in a file which is an appropriate location and rename it as stipulated. Your initial dash surname dash AAT number dash date full stop month full stop year dash task 2.3. I've also given you an example there as well. On your exam, it may not be exactly the same, so you must make sure you read the question and you save it exactly how they state on the task. So I'm just going to save mine. You also need to make sure that it is saved as an Excel spreadsheet. Here, if you're unsure, end it with full stop XLS. That way you're guaranteeing it is saved as a spreadsheet. You are required to complete the extended trial balance for New Place for the year ended 31st of December. Some information from the ledger accounts has already been populated in the extended trial balance, which is the worksheet named ETB. This one here. However, some figures were placed in a text file, and as a result, some of the ledger balances are also missing. We need to select a second worksheet, which is called sheet 2. Here it is. We need to rename this worksheet and call it subtotal. So I'm just going to double click. Okay, we need to select D4 in the subtotal. And I need to import the downloaded CSV file. And I need it to start in D4. So I want to extract data. So I'm going to go to data. I'm going to get my data. It's in text form, so I'm going to go from text. I'm going to select my data there. And I'm going to get the text import wizard, which is 3 steps. First step is just make sure, can you read the writing? If you can read the writing, it means the file is okay. If you get loads of symbols, that means the file is corrupt. So as I'm happy, I'm going to go next. Now, I need to know how it's saved. If I've got columns, then it's telling me it's saved via tab. If it was semicolons, can you see there's no line, which means it's not separating the text from the numbers. So I just basically go through each of them till I find my columns. Now, this one can't be right because purchases, new cell dash. So I believe that tab would be the best one for it. When I've done that, I click next. Now, you could format if you want, but we haven't read that far, so we can always format once it's on the spreadsheet. So I'm just going to click on finish. The computer's saying, is this where you want me to start from? Yes, it is. So I will just click on OK. And there we have it, done. It says use copy and paste link to copy each of the amounts for purchases, wages and administration in the ledger accounts of the ETB worksheet. So let's have a look here. Okay, so I want to purchases. Purchases is an expense, so it'll be a debit. So to link it, equals subtotal purchases. Now it's purchases 1, 2, 3, shop 1, 2, admin costs and salaries. If they are all in the same, then I could just replicate down. I've only got admin and administration salaries, so I can't replicate here because this is for rent and rate. So I'm just going to go there, equals, click and drag down. In the subtotal worksheet, use the appropriate function to subtotal rent and rates figures in the range D13 to F21 for each change in item. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to highlight my details. Now, if I look, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 rent, 1, 2, 3, 4 rates. I need to get the totals for rent and rate. So I'm going to highlight my data. I'm going to go to subtotal. I want the change because I want to group it via rent or rate. So I need that to be the heading item, not shop, not cost, because I'm grouping it by rent and rates. I want the total, so I'll leave it as sum. And I only want to total the cost, not the shop. So I will click OK. Now, what you will see is I've got the rent overall total, the rates overall total, and the grand total. But these numbers look funny. That's because the box is not big enough. So I just need to get this total and this total entered into the extended trial balance. So equals rent and rates equals rates total. And there you have it. Use copy and paste link. We've just done that. In the ETB worksheet, format all currency to accounting style in whole numbers, no decimals. Make sure that the contents of every cell can be clearly seen. So I want it from here to here. Right click, format cells. I want it to currency, whole numbers, no decimal places. Done. I need to make sure that every cell can be fully seen. So magic triangle, double click. Insert a formula in K5. K5. That will always show the current date and time. So I want equals now, open brackets, close brackets. Now, if you don't get the date and the time, right click, format cells, go to custom and then select the one that gives you the date and the time. Or if you only want the time, click on time, etc., etc., etc. In J32, insert a formula to show if it's balanced. So J32. So I need an if formula. So fx, if what? Okay, so insert a formula to show if cell H32 and I32 are equal, then say balance. If not, say error on trial balance. So if we're talking about J32 is where we want it. So we're basically saying if H32, there we go, equals I32, then I want you to say this balances. But if it doesn't, I want you to say error on ETB. Oops, we've got an error on ETB. Error on ETB, oops, requires so that's question A complete. I want to save my work so I don't lose it. I'm on exercise B. It says this extended trial balance was constructed badly by the person who since left the business. The correct figure for profit for the year had been calculated as 384890. Insert this figure in the relevant cells of the ETB. Well, if they're saying we made a profit, well then that will be on the credit side of the SOF and the debit side of the SPL. But it's still saying error, which means we haven't corrected the mistake the person's done. So let me highlight them. As well as the ledger balance omissions, which you corrected in A, there's also 2 errors in the last 4 columns of the extended trial balance, so they cannot balance. Right, okay, cool. Using the relevant skills together with your knowledge, locate the errors and correct them so that J32 shows balance instead of requires investigation. So let's go through it. Not everything's visible, so I'm going to make this look pretty. Right. Cash at bank is an asset, so it is a debit on the SOF. Cash in hand, asset, SOF. Sales, income, SPL. Capital, credit, SOF. Purchases are all expenses, so they are SOF, SPL on debit side. Okay, now here we've got a debit and a debit, so we're just checking, is it a debit and a debit? It is, so we add. That's fine. Is expense, so that's fine. Expense. Okay, so this is a debit and a credit, so we must minus. What have we got here? So that's one error. So we found one error. The next one is a debit, non-current assets, SOF, depreciation, SOF, accumulated depreciation. Okay, so we've got 2 credits, so it must be added. That formula's correct. Purchase ledger control account is a credit. Payables is a debit. Is it a debit? Accruals is always a credit. So there we go. We've just found our other error. It should be on the credit side. And we have balanced. But we'll just check the others just in case. Sales ledger is a debit. Allowance for doubtful debts is a credit. Irrecoverable debts is a debit. Inventory is a debit. And drawings is a debit. Okay, so we've done that. Custom format the contents of each of the corrected cells to show magenta and keeping the accounting style. Right, so we had this one and we had this one. So I'm just going to highlight them both. Then I can do them both together. If that makes sense. So we want right click format cells. We want it as current accounting style. And we want it as magenta. There we are, magenta. And I'm going to click OK. Oops, I was supposed to show the font and I've gone and filled, so I'm going to undo that. Right click format cells, font, magenta. Making sure that, yep, accounting, okay. There we go. And we need to fill them with yellow background. So right click format cells, fill, yellow. Okay, so that's done. Now we need to explain the two errors we found, and we need to put them in the column K, stating what accounting and spreadsheet skills I used to correct them. Right, well, this one is administration costs. Is an expense. So this goes in the SPL as a debit. We also had adjustment of 1450, which should have been minus. I'm just going to wrap that so you can see the answer. So admin costs is an expense. So this goes to the SPL as a debit. We also had 1,450, which should have been subtracted, but the spreadsheet had been added. So we therefore all right, and what did we do here? So this one is other payables accruals. Is a credit, but this was applied on the debit of the There we go. There's my explanations done. I'm going to save my work, and we have now completed task 2.3.